A couple of minutes so people can join. In the meantime, welcome. If you can, just post it on the chat from where you're joining. Minutes and this is my assistant number one. I'll introduce myself in a second. Just give me a minute. I'm just live streaming this session so I can share the recordings with you as soon as we finish. And I will give you a couple more information. This is Anouk. You will see her probably over the next today and the next 2 days. And there's another one, Truffaut. He will probably join in a bit. Edinburgh, Holland. Joining to get more information and try if I fit in this tech world. Welcome. This is a good place to start. Manchester, Spain. Hello, everyone. Manchester, Sunderland, German. That's cool. People from everywhere. Manila, Pakistan, London. That's really, really nice. Okay, let me make this smaller here. I'm gonna move you on the chat here so I can see where you're writing. Scottsdale, California, Keaton. Really, really nice. Nice seeing you all and welcome to the 3-day code challenge. So first of all, welcome to this workshop. My name is Sofia. I'm gonna be the instructor for the next 3 days. And the language that we will be coding in, it's HTML and CSS. So my name is Sofia, like I said, I am Brazilian. I'm currently based in Barcelona. And I transitioned into tech a few years ago. I don't have a tech background, so I didn't come to tech. Right nowadays, I'm a software engineer in a company, and I'm also an instructor here at CodeUp. So I had no tech background. I actually did something very small, even like something similar to what you were doing today, to see if I was interested in coding actually. And I realized that was actually pretty cool when I decided to go with it. I'm Brazilian, but live in Malaga. Oh yeah, Brazilians in Spain. That's us. So I did a boot camp at CodeUp. CodeUp is a tech school for women, trans, and non-binary people that it's focused on closing the gender gap in the tech industry, which I don't know if you know this, but it's actually huge. So apart from those free workshops, we also have some boot camps that can help you transition into tech. We have boot camps in full stack development and data science and data analysis. Those boot camps, they are more intense. They have the option to do it full-time or part-time. But so it takes between 3 and 6, 7 months, depending on your choice. But it can actually get you into tech. So this is what I did. And then I got a job. And then I started working as a software engineer. And here I am today. So we do have this commitment of obviously share our knowledge. I think like some of the things, I don't know if everyone that is joining, it's your first contact with coding or with web development, because today we're going to focus in web development. But I had the feeling like before, I always been very curious about tech, and I always like computers and stuff like this. But I thought it was like very distant. And actually, after the first time I started coding, I was like, it's not that hard as long as someone can explain it to you in a way that you can understand. So if you don't have any coding experience, this is a very, very beginner friendly, like there's no requirement, there's no previous tech skills needed for this. And if you already know something about tech or other programming languages, you are welcome to join, because sometimes like you don't know about web development itself, or it's always good to deepen our knowledge. In tech, there's one thing that is true, is that we never know, it's impossible to know it all. And there's always something new to learn. Someone is saying that the screen is not visible. Here on in the other screens, it shows me that I am sharing my screen. Can someone tell me if you can see my screen? It should, okay, you can see it. Yeah, maybe try to rejoin. Cool. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Maybe quit the meeting and rejoin can help. Okay, so quickly explanation about this 3 days code challenge. So we're gonna focus, like I said, in web development. And we're gonna focus I'm gonna explain a bit more about web development to you, but this code challenge is focused on HTML and CSS. So the first day today, it's all about HTML. So you're gonna create a template. Important thing, you learn how to code coding. That's the best way to learn how to code. So this is a very hands-on workshop. You're gonna code today and tomorrow and the next day, okay? We're gonna code this week. So the first step is to create a template and implement HTML on our project. So we're gonna work with HTML today. Tomorrow, we're gonna code, we're gonna add CSS on what we're gonna build today. So it's important that you have it ready because we're gonna add things up. We're gonna continue building on top of what we're gonna build today. So obviously, this is like I said, I'm streaming this on YouTube, so I'm gonna share the link with you. You can check it again, but it's important that you have it ready before tomorrow. And the third day, we're gonna finish our project and then add Bootstrap. I will talk a bit more about Bootstrap, but Bootstrap, it's a framework for CSS. So it's still kind of the same subject, but written in a different way. But actually gives you a really nice touch and make your project looks nice. I'm a college student, so will the content being delivered be accessible to me as well? Yes. This is it's like as long as we are, I'm gonna share this link with you on Slack. The email that you use to join this meeting, that you sign up for this workshop, you probably received also a Slack invitation. This is very important. The Slack invitation, it should show you, I'm gonna actually explain you a bit. I will talk about the Slack in a second. Let me just finish about the challenge. So you finish your project, we add the Bootstrap, that's it. Then is the project delivery. You can finalize and then share your. Oh, I just realized one thing. Someone asked, I am so sorry. Someone asked me what language this this workshop would be about, and I thought what was the programming language that we were gonna use. So that's why I asked HTML and JavaScript. But yes, this is in English. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, there was a really misunderstanding. So yes, this workshop and everything, all the communication will be held in English. Oh my God. I'm so used to like what programming language we're using when we talk about what languages are you working with, and it's like okay, Python, JavaScript, it's like the language that we use to code. Okay, so once you finish your project, you can share the link with on LinkedIn if you want and tag us. But you received a Slack invitation. If for whatever reason you cannot find it, I'm gonna see if I can get the link to share again with you. I don't have it right now, but I can share it tomorrow. I already asked for Ruth. This is she's the person in communication with you. In the email that you use to sign up should have a Slack invitation, like, or you receive an email or something like this. Now, if not, tomorrow I will share the Slack with you. No worries. On the Slack, I'm gonna show you. Give me 1 second. On Slack, This is the CodeUp community Slack. So this is the invitation that you're going to receive for this workspace, and you will be added into this channel straight away. If for whatever reason, like I said, I don't have the link right now, but I will get this link, if not today, the latest tomorrow, or you will be able to receive the invitation in the email that you use to sign up for this workshop. Now, here in this 3-day coding challenge, by the end of okay, so for all of you, if you didn't receive the invitation, I'm going to ask to send the invitation on your email, and I will share tomorrow. Okay, so this is the Slack. You can ask for support. You can post your things if you have any errors and so on, and you will be welcome to the CodeUp community. So here we have many other channels that you can connect with CodeUp community. You can ask questions. We have about jobs and careers. We have learning and resources, announcements. Like, it's a community space really. And in this channel, CodeUp 3 Days Coding Challenge, you will post your final project once we're done after Thursday. You will have until the end of Thursday, after Thursday, when we finish our lecture, until the end of Sunday, to post here and write, this is my final project. We will collect all the final projects, we will collect all the final projects, we will share with our community, and they're gonna vote the one that they like the most. The top 3 projects, the most voted top 3 projects, will receive a prize. This prize can be, sorry, 1 second. The prices are, you can choose actually out of 3 different things. You can choose from a meeting. Actually, you have a meeting. The winners can choose a meeting. This meeting can be 1 hour with Anne-Marie, which is our career coach, and she's a star. She is amazing. This could be basically a chat to get anything from career goals to polish your CV, to get help with job search strategy. She's not only worked with the tech industry, so it's actually pretty good. And I think she's amazing. She changed completely. She was my career coach when I did the bootcamp, because in CodeUp, we have a career week for every bootcamp. And it's incredibly helpful to have the right words and everything. The second option, it's 101, like 1 hour with our CEO and founder, which is Katrina. This session, it's open to any topic you want to discuss with her. I mean, apart from actually working as an engineer as well in the past, you can get advice on how getting into tech, how to build your own company. Katrina is a star. She's always very available, incredibly knowledgeable woman. She built CodeUp, and it's pretty amazing. So you can also choose 1 hour with her. Or you can choose 1 hour with me, I'm a coding instructor. If you're coding something, if you want to know more about technical aspects, or I also transition into tech. So if you want to talk about this, I'm happy to talk. I actually love talking about this. I'm happy to have this 1 hour to discuss this as well. So it's entirely up to you. The top 3 projects can choose among any of those 3 101s, and this will be by vote. So on Slack, until the end of Sunday, you will have to post and say, this is my final project. For everyone that is asking me that you haven't received yet, that's fine. You will receive tomorrow morning an invitation for the Slack on your email. And in tomorrow's session, for those who, for whatever reason, didn't receive, I will share the link again. So will you receive a certificate of completion reference from CodeUp after completing this program that we can include on LinkedIn? As far as I know, no, because this is just a short workshop. I can double check. I'm actually gonna copy this question and I'm gonna share with Ruth, but not sure. I will come back with all the answers tomorrow about these things. I'm sorry that I don't have them all. If you want to ask me something about code, I also don't have all the answers, but maybe 1 or 2 more. But I'm gonna double check these things with Ruth, and then I'll get back to you. And again, this Slack invitation you will receive tomorrow. There was a slide for this. Okay, so these are the announcements about how the workshop is gonna go, and I will revisit those things tomorrow and on Thursday. But please feel free to ask me anything you want. I'll keep an eye on in the Q&A and the chat. Cool. So today what I'm going to cover, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about full stack development, the difference between full stack front-end and back-end, what are the skills required. I'm going to talk a bit about the job market for full stack developers, show you some real world projects. And today it's all about HTML. What inspired me to pursue an interest in coding? I wanted to transition. I want a career change. This is my personal story. I wanted a career change, and I thought it would be, when I was younger, I used to work with cinema, and I quite liked it. And I also like computers a lot. So my initial goal was to actually work with visual effects and special effects for films, like creating the effects on computer. I talked with a friend. He said I should know a bit about coding to connect things together. It's always good to know. I did a small workshop and I enjoy it a lot more. It was just like, I just want to do this. I had so much fun and I still have a lot of fun coding. So for me, it was the perfect, in the middle of my transition, like changing careers after you have established careers, it's not nothing. It's not exactly easy. But in the middle of my path, I was like, I'm so glad I chose this. I was like, I'm in the correct way. And that feels really good. And this is me. And also, as I told you before, I have 2 cats. I can work with them. They are the best colleagues that I can ever dream of. Like, there's no competition to this. Now, the difference between full stack, front end, and back end. Now, this is all about web development. And if you think about a restaurant, and we have the user, which is someone who's making the order. We have the front end that it's receiving this user's requests, like, okay, I want a burger, some fries or whatever. It's taking the notes, but it's also taking care of everything that the user sees. It's cleaning the tables, taking the orders, keeping everything nice and tidy, maintaining everything that the user where the user circulates well, and also taking the notes. Now you go to, after getting the order from the customer, from the client, the waitress, for example, will go to the kitchen and say, hey, I need this. The backend we don't see, but the backend receive this order. It will go to the fridge, for example, and grab all the ingredients that you need. It will prepare the meal for you, and then it will deliver to the waiter, to the waitress. The waitress will get, and then the waitress delivers to the final customer. Now, the waitress don't go into the kitchen and start cooking and grab the ingredients and start cooking. The communications, like, you have to ask this for who's working on the kitchen. This is the order of it. And in tech, like in full stack development, is the same thing. The front end handles the user request. Everything that the user sees, everything that the user interacts, everything that the user wants to do is the front end grabbing. And then the back end is processing this request and sending the response. For example, I want to see the profile. If I am the user, I want to see my profile. So the front end developer will create a button that takes me to my profile. We create a form that makes me logging and redirect me to my profile. And when I say, I want this, the front end will send this to the backend. The backend will check if my password and my username are correct. It will grab my data on the database, and then it will send to the front end everything from my profile. And then the front end developer will display this, will receive this and display in a nice way so I can see. I have my picture, my description, my name, and so on and so forth. This is roughly the idea of front end and back end. Now, the front end will work with JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. We're going to see this in the user's browser. So in Chrome, and this is what we're going to be doing today. Actually, we're going to be working with those 2 things in this workshop. Now, the backend, you choose a web framework. You can choose a programming language. In the front end, the programming language that we're going to use is JavaScript. You can also use JavaScript as a programming language for the backend. And you have a database, you have a web server, and you have your operational system. If it's whatever operational system you have, Linux, Mac, doesn't matter. It depends on your machine. It can be any of those. A full stack developer, it's basically everything. It's a combination of front and the back end. So for example, the bootcamp that I did, I am actually a full stack developer, so I can work either on the back end or on the front end or in both. You can do both things. Python is another, someone is asking about Python. Python, it's another programming language. Pretty good, quite neat, elegant. I love Python. And it's very used for the backend as well, especially for data science and data analysis is the most widely programming language used. Quite good. For front-end though, it's not, it wouldn't be a choice. For backend, it's really good. For data analysis, it's incredible. Machine learning, most of the things that you're gonna see is with Python. What's the difference in C++ and CSS? CSS, it's a styling sheet for HTML. C++ is a programming language. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk a bit more about CSS. Also, are we doing CSS with HTML? CSS was built for HTML. So we're going to add CSS in HTML. Not with, but it's like combine them together. So you're going to do HTML, and then you're going to add CSS to it. So the front end will focus on the layouts, the animation, the content organization, the navigation, the graphic visuals that you see. It will handle all the requests, grabbing the requests from the users, receiving the requests from the backend, and displaying them to the final user. The backend is focused on building the code, debugging, and database management. And here I'm giving you a very broad overall view of this, okay? For example, in the full stack development bootcamp that I did, we would go deeper into those things. So here's a rough estimation of full stack developer salaries around the world. Actually, I need to update this. This is from a year and 2 years ago. So this is the average, okay? Not from a senior developer, not an entry-level developer. So here in Germany, for example, it's 60,000 per year. Okay. In the US is $102. In India, it's 623 rupees, which is $8,000. So it will change depending on where you are. And this is around the world will be the average. This is Australia, no? Yeah. And you can also see here, I'm based in Europe. And this is the average for European cities. So for Spain, I have Barcelona here is 35K or Madrid, 30K. Then you have Amsterdam, Dublin. This is just for European cities. Just so you can have a rough estimation. Now, this is a real world project. This is a project, I'm actually gonna copy this link. And I'm gonna share, because I think it's like 2 minutes long. I'm not gonna leave the entire thing here, but I'm gonna send the link here on the channel so you can watch later if you want. This is a project that was built on as the final project of the full stack development course in CodeUp. And it's actually quite nice. They built this platform where you can share things. So you can add some product and you can say, hey, I have this camera, and then you can, like, it's a good condition, this is the price, and for what is that? For example, if you have a board game and that's it, you can add a picture from your own computer, you can add this item, and then you could actually get a product. You could like rent a product from someone. So you have this filtering implemented. So you can see that was recently added. You can search by category, the distance, the item condition. You have multiple items. You have the map. You have live chat. So they built all this as a final project, which is a lot. And this is a full stack app. So you can schedule things and so on. Quite nice. So this is one example of the things that you can build. You can finish watching this. You have some users information. You can log in and log out. So you can check this link. You can see it a bit more with more time and so on. But it's actually a really good project. So now let's actually start talking about HTML. And what is HTML? I thought some of you might already have heard. I see that you asked me, like, if I'm going to use this with CSS, and so you might have heard this at some point, but it's basically the standard language for creating web pages. There is no page, like absolute zero pages that you're going to open today that was not built with HTML. Any page that you open on your browser, you open your Chrome and then you open whatever page is built with HTML. And HTML, it's a language of marks. It's not exactly a programming language. And it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext because it's not only text. We can also add files, images, videos, audio. You can add anything with it. And it describes the structure of a page, not its appearance. It really doesn't. The strength of HTML, it's not the style, it's not the appearance. That's why we're going to have CSS tomorrow. But when we mean structure, everything that you see on the page, for example, if there's an image, if there's a paragraph, a block of text, a heading, or whatever, all of this, that it's the content, is HTML. Now, whenever we're coding, doesn't matter if it's a markup language or a programming language, doesn't matter. There is a syntax. There's a syntax that you need to follow. It's like when you're learning a new language, and then like English, Portuguese, or whatever, or Arabic, for example, that uses a different alphabet from mine, and I really wish I could learn. It's in my list. You need to learn the alphabet and you need to follow those rules. When you're coding, it's nothing more than give instructions that the computer can read, can understand. And you need to follow the rules of that language. So someone said, so HTML is like canvas and the CSS is all the painting. Imagine almost, but it could be like this. Yes. That's a good option. It can be put it like this. And you can also say that the CSS is like the makeup for the HTML. It also works. But yes, it would be all the paintings. There's an off-topic question I will answer later on. So focusing on the syntax that we need to use to write. Every programming language has its own syntax. Every markup language has a syntax, and you need to follow this so the computer can understand what you're asking the computer to do. In HTML, we need to write with something that is called tags. Those tags, they usually go in pairs, and they are always wrapped in these angle brackets. We have an opening tag, so it will be the angle bracket and then the name of the tag. In this example, it's the P tag. And then you have the closing tag, so angle brackets. It's quite similar to the opening one, but has a forward slash, like a bar. So angle brackets P, opening tag. Angle brackets / P, closing tag. And also, most of them will have opening and closing tag. But like everything in life, there are exceptions, and some of them don't accept content, so we can just close, open and close altogether. So instead of having an opening and a closing one, we're just going to have the angle brackets, the name of the tag, and the forward slash. We're going to see this in practice, so it will be a bit easier for you. This is how it works. So we have the angle brackets and then the tag name. This is the opening one. The angle brackets, a forward slash, and the tag name. This is a closing tag. Anything that goes in between the opening and the closing tag, it's the content. And all of this together, it's an HTML element. So we're going to be working with these elements in HTML. So for example, if we use the P, and by here we cannot choose, actually, let me see if we cannot choose the name of the tags. We need to, we cannot You can choose from the ones that exist. You cannot create a new one. So if I use the P stands for a paragraph. This is a paragraph, would be the content of the paragraph itself. This is the element. All of this combined and together, it's an element. Let me see if I can HTML. Let me see this. No. No. I wanted to see. This is actually cool. Here, I'm gonna share this with you. So the little nerd that exists in me that loves chemistry gets really, really happy when I see this, huh? So this is all the HTML elements that we have, or the name of the. I have a chem lesson today. This is giving me trauma. Forget about this. This has nothing to do with chemistry. Never mind. Don't go this way. Go back. Go back. I love chemistry. I'm sorry for adding the trauma, but it was actually one of my favorites. But this has nothing to do with chemistry, huh? It's just the display. Actually, if you click on some of those, you're going to see, for example, actually you can highlight this and you can see, oh, okay, this is text content related. And when I click the P, you're going to see here that the P element represents a paragraph or text. Or you can have the Li, for example, that it's used to represent an item in a list. So no phosphorus, no barium, no helium, no gas, no nothing, huh? Just the HTML the element. So I'm not going to add to the trauma. So this is just so you can see. So we're gonna use those tags here. Not all of them, obviously. Some of them, to be honest, I never work with, but most of them and the widely used, we're gonna see today. This. Now, there's another thing in HTML that we need to learn, which is the attributes. The attributes works to target and manipulate specific HTML elements. And those attributes, we're never going to add them. It's not going to be in the closing tag. It's not where we add the content. It needs to be inside of the angle brackets of the opening tag. So you give a space from the name of the tag, and then you add those attributes. Now, this attribute will always be written with the same syntax. It's an equality. And then on the left side of the equality, you pass the name of the attribute. You can't choose, you just need to pass attributes that are available and exist. So in this case, I'm adding the class attribute to this paragraph. Then you do equal sign, and then in between quotes, you're gonna give the value that you want. This one, you can choose. So in this example, I'm giving the class fruits to this paragraph, to this apple paragraph. And then I can manipulate. I can say, okay, give me the element, the HTML element with the class fruits. And then this specific paragraph will answer to me. Now, the computer is very smart. The computer can do amazing things, but it's not as smart as you think. The computer, unlike humans, do not assume things. So you need to be very, very specific. So you always need to give like the precise instructions. So you add the attribute so you can ask for it later on. And the good thing about the class is that you can repeat, you can give the same class attribute to different elements. This is also an attribute. So I'm giving the class fruits to both paragraphs, the apple and the orange. So whenever I say, hey, please paint the element with the class fruits in blue, it would do this for both of them in one single command. So it's very handy. Now, sometimes you just want to call one element and you need to know that this is the only element that will answer back to you. And then for those cases, we can add another attribute that is the ID. But can you see that the syntax is the same? The name of the attribute is ID, so it goes on the left side of the equality. Then you have the equal sign, and then in between quotes, the value that we want to give. Again, inside of the angle brackets of the opening tag. Now, the moment that I give this favorite as the value of my ID, I cannot have any other element with an ID favorite. And I know for a fact that every time that I call, please give me the element with the ID favorite, only this speech paragraph will answer back to me. And this is also an attribute. We're going to see some other attributes here. The class is the one that we're going to use the most over the next 3 days. Another thing, very, very useful in HTML, it's called containers. And like in real life, they group things, you know, like a container that you can add a bunch of things inside and then just move them all at once. You don't need to take one at a time. You just put everything there and walk around with it. They don't display anything. They don't have any semantic value. They don't add anything, but you can put things together. So the most common container, and we're going to use, it's called div from division. So you can see that it's still the same rule. This is like angle brackets, div, angle brackets / div. So this is my opening tag. This is my closing tag. Anything that it's in between, it's my content. So in this case, the content of this container are the 3 paragraphs. 1, 2, and 3, all of them, because they are in between the opening and the closing tag, they are the content. Now, the good thing is you can also give attributes to your container. So you can say, okay, I'm going to give it a class to this container. And so class, equal sign, quotes, shopping basket. And then when you call for the element with the class shopping basket, actually everything answers back to you, including the 3 paragraphs will answer to you. So you can, instead of calling the elements with the class fruits and the element with the ID favorite, you just call the container the element with the class shopping basket, and everything will answer back to you. Very, very, very handy, especially for positioning things. Okay, move all of this list to the left, to the right, give some space. We're going to use this a lot. Now, we're going to code. So before we actually start coding, because I'm going to show the things that I've been telling you, I'm going to show in code. Let me answer some questions. Will you be shown? I need to skip my cat because the cat, Anouk, it's in the other screen, like hiding part of the questions. Will you be showing how this code will look in the front end? Yes, actually, we're going to create our page right now. We're going to start coding, actually. In 1 second, then I'm going to share the link so you can also do. We're going to do this together. Second question. What programming language do high-tech companies like Microsoft, Amazon, IBM prefer in software data science related careers? Data science, I'm going to risk Python for sure. Now, for software, it depends. Front-end, JavaScript for sure. Back-end, it will change. C#, C++, Python, Ruby on Rails, not sure. Depend on the project, sometimes it changes. But for data, I would say Python. And for front-end, JavaScript. For back-end, it will change. Like software, it depends on like what part of the software also. If it's the backend, if it's what is the database as well. If it's relational database, so SQL, what. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. It's not one single answer, but sorry, but there's too many options. And there's also some companies, for example, in my company, there are projects that we have for we have different programming languages being used depending on the project that we work. So it also changes a bit. Now, could you repeat the difference between the ID and the class? Yes, the class, you can give the same class to the class, you can give the same class with the same value to many elements. So for example, I can have 2 elements with the class fruits. The ID is unique. The moment that you give this ID, for example, there is one element with the ID favorite, no other element in my code can have the ID favorite. Most of the times you're going to use class, but I'm going to show you one scenario that is really common to use IDs. Div and div, explain again. Every tag, usually most of the tags in HTML, they have an opening and a closing tag. So you can see here that this is the opening tag. So angle brackets P. This is just an attribute in the inside, but the tag is actually the angle brackets P. And then angle bracket / P. So this is the opening, this is the closing tag. This is the opening, this is the closing tag. Everything that it's in between, it's content. When we use divs, it's the same thing. We have an opening, so angle brackets div, angle bracket / div, and we're gonna encapsulate everything inside. The div is just a container. We're gonna use, whenever we have a section, I'm gonna show you actually, whenever we have a section, we're gonna use the container. Oh, you already answered. You're the best. You know, there's one thing that I love in tech is that we really help each other. We really try to support each other. Maybe someone is having an error that you already had something, and then someone already faced this, and we support each other. So there are some questions related. When do we use a div? I'm just going to start coding because it will make more sense, and then I'm going to show you why do we use the div, because it's the best way to move things around and to organize our code. This was unexpected. Is ID something like the primary key in SQL relationships table? No, it's not. I mean, in SQL relationships table, the ID means that every element needs to have a unique identifier. In HTML, if you want to uniquely identify that single element, you can, but it's not mandatory. In SQL, in relationship databases, you would like to have one for every single entry that you have. Can you add class and ID in one angle bracket? Yes, you can add both attributes in one element. I just shared one link. It's this page that we're going to use for it, that we're going to use to work. So please open. You can log in and you can sign up with Google. And you should actually do this. There's an option to start coding without it, but to save your work, it will be better if you have an account. It is for free, okay? So I recommend you to do, but you can create an account later on, but then you can save your work actually, and to share with us, you will need to create an account, so you're able to share. Now, whenever we open a website, we're going to see a combination of HTML, the front end, we're going to see a combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, maybe. The JavaScript, it's responsible for the interaction, and the HTML and the CSS is what I already mentioned, and we're going to be working with. It's not possible to have a page just with JavaScript. It's not possible to have a page without HTML, and this is why we're going to build one. We're going to focus on these two things. Those pages with HTML and CSS, they're called static pages, and this is what we're going to build in this workshop. Now, to actually see this on a page, you need to write the code, you need to compile this code, and you need to display this code somewhere. So you don't need to install anything. We're going to use CodePen. There's a really, really cool playground that allows you and do all of those behind the scenes for us. So here you're going to see that we already have some trendings. You can check some other projects and so on. And what I want to do is I want to click in this pen. Actually, this is how it's going to look for you, I guess, whenever you click on pen. And then you're going to see a combination of those three things. You have a space to write HTML. You have a space to write CSS. You have a space to write JavaScript. And then CodePen will compile all of this for you, and it will render the final result here. So this is going to be your final page. So it's beautiful. You don't need to install anything. If you have an account, you can open from any computer and continue to work on. You can share your code. So at the end of the day, I'm going to share my code with you. Really cool. Now, like I said, we're not going to work with JavaScript. So I'm going to collapse this part. And then I'm going to make CSS smaller because I'm going to focus on HTML right now. Now, what I want to build is basically a page from my site. I'm going to talk a bit about where I'm from and about me. Okay, this is the idea. And I actually quite like this because every time there's so many people from so many different places that every time I check your projects, I get to discover new things about your cities. And this is actually fun. I've been adding things to my list of things to do in different places and discovering about cities that I never thought about visiting and then saying, hey, I would like to do this. So this is pretty cool. So this is what we're going to build over the next 3 days. Now, remember that I said, I'm just going to show you how it works. So let me quickly show you the tag. So here we have angle brackets P, angle brackets /P, and this is a paragraph. So I use the tag angle brackets, opening tag, angle brackets / closing tag, the content, and boom, you have a paragraph on your page. So CodePen, it's compiling those things behind the scene and adding this to the page. If you use a different tag, for example, H1, the H stands for heading, and in HTML, it goes from 1 until 6. Let me close. It goes from 1 to 6. The bigger the number, the smaller the letter. So H1 is the biggest heading that we have. So you can have H1, H2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a heading. Just by using a different tag, I'm going to have a different result. That's it. You have the tag, you open and close, you follow the rules, this will be added to your page. Now, another important thing is that HTML, it's compiled top to bottom. So for example, if I have a heading and I have a paragraph, in my head, it will make sense that this was the other way around. Like the heading, it's on the top of the paragraph. So if we want this in our lines of code, you can see here that this is line 1 and this is line 2. I would need to have this the other way around. So the heading now it's up, it's in an above line, it's in line 1. So you can see it first on your screen, on your page. This is how HTML works. Now, what I want to build today is, like I said, this page to talk a bit about me and about my city. And whenever you actually start building a page, you think about the sections that you would like to have. So for example, I would like to have one section that talks about me. And then I would like to have a section that is like the introduction section, like welcome to my page. And maybe we could have later on, we could have a section about my favorite places to go. And those are different sections in the page. If it's a different section, we will create a different container for it. I'm just going to create a container for the section. So this was just the first H1 and things, it was just to show you. I'm going to create a container and please listen to me. Listen to my advice. Whenever you open something that needs to be closed, open and close first. After you add the content in the middle, because you can forget things. You can forget an angle bracket. You can forget to close something. And this could crash your application, or sometimes it's not going to crash, but it's not going to tell you what is wrong. And you're going to spend some time looking for a missing bracket or whatever. So open and close, and then I'm gonna add a couple of things here. So the first thing that I want to do, it's maybe a H1, angle brackets / H1, that says, hi, I'm Sophia, something like this. This is gonna be the section that talks about me. In the future, I know that I want to style this in a specific way, okay? So I'm already gonna give it a class that it's called about. I will show you what to do with this, but I'm already saying, and this also helps us to organize our mind. This container is the container of the About Me section. I'll get back to it. Apart from this, let's say I'm gonna add now a H2. So angle brackets H2, angle brackets /H2. Sometimes you have these blinks, but like I said, it's CodePen compiling things behind the scenes for us. So I'm gonna add something. I'm a Brazilian web developer. Oh, there you go. And maybe I should say something about myself. So I'm gonna create a paragraph, angle brackets P, angle brackets /P. And then I'm just gonna add some dummy text here. You can add something actually nice about yourselves later on. And okay, I have a paragraph, I have a H2, and I have a H1. Sounds good. Another thing that I actually think it would be nice to add, it's an image. So I would like to add a picture. And this is a lorem ipsum. I'm gonna explain to you actually how to add this. There is one tag specifically for whenever you want to add image, you need to use one specific tag. For example, for paragraph is the P. For headings is the H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For list is going to be LI. For images, it's one that is called IMG. And the image doesn't accept content. There's no text content or other elements like in the case of the container. There's no content, which means that we don't need to have a closing tag. So I'm just going to add a / at the end, and that's it. So we have our image tag. Okay, now, the second thing is that I still don't see anything because I'm basically saying, hey, can you actually add an image for me, HTML? And HTML is going to say, yeah, sure. Which image? Where does this image is coming from? What is the source of the image? So whenever we are actually adding an image, whenever you use the IMG tag, there is one attribute specifically that you need to use that it's called SRC. Now remember the syntax for attributes is the name of it's an equality. On the left, you have the name of the attribute, equal sign, and then the quotes. And here, inside of the quotes, you're gonna pass where the image is coming from. Sorry, I got more than. No problems. This is an introduction workshop. Maybe you can join when we actually do some other things. In the future, we're planning on doing one in JavaScript as well. There's no problem in this, but thanks. Now, here in the SRC, we need to pass the source of the image. Where is the image coming from? So let's say that you go to Google and you say women's avatar, women. You could pick the image and then you have two options. You can copy the image or you can copy the image address. You need to copy the image address, okay? This is very important. This is literally the address on the internet where this image lives. I'm gonna use, instead of using this, I'm gonna use something called lorem ipsum that just give me a random image. Every time I refresh my page, it's gonna give me something different. I'm just gonna copy this URL here. I can share this link with you. And the moment that I actually paste a URL in the source of in the quotes of the SRC attributes, boom, you can see it. That's it. If you want to add an image on your page, you need to have the IMG tag, so angle brackets IMG. The IMG tag don't need to close, and you need to pass the SRC attribute that is the source of the image. And then in between the quotes, you're gonna pass the URL. I know you're gonna ask me, what if I want to add an image from my computer? It's the same thing. But this image needs to live on your project and you need to pass the path from this file until the image. And this is not possible in the free version of CodePen. So the syntax is the same. It would be SRC, equal sign, quotes, and then the path. But for this workshop, in this platform, we're gonna stick to the URL. Now, because I'm using this Pixum, actually, every time I refresh my page, it's gonna give me a new image, okay? Just so you know. This is just because it's literally a random image. Every time you refresh the page, it gives you a different one. This is from this page. Is there a different code if we need the image or text to be at the center? Yes, then you need to style this with CSS, because then this is positioning. If we want to centralize things, we're gonna use CSS. I will give you a taste of it later today, but we're gonna work on it tomorrow. Okay, so this is pretty much my about me. This is what I would want to build. What else? What else? Actually, I can show you what I mean. I'm not going to focus on CSS, okay? So please don't focus too much on this. I'm just going to show you quickly why is it good to have a container and what we can do with CSS. Someone was asking me how to centralize things. I'm following you, doing what you're doing, and it works. Yes, well done. I'm really happy when you get to do it. How do I make multiple images, but I'm choosing from my PC? It's the same thing. You need multiple IMG tags and one source for each one of them. And right now, in this platform, in the free version, you cannot add from your PC. So you will have to use the URL, but it's the same syntax. So here, instead of the URL, you pass the path from this HTML file until the image is on your computer. So go back one folder, go inside the images and get me the image with this name, for example. Now, I'm going to show you really quick. I said that this container has a class about, so I'm going to give it in CSS, I'm going to do something. Text dash align. I'm going to set to center. And with one single command, because I'm actually targeting the entire container, I can centralize the image, the H1, the H2, and the paragraph. This is just so you can see why it's so easier to have a container for a specific section. And this is one of the things that CSS can handle, the positioning. I'm not going to focus on this. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to continue focus on HTML. And tomorrow I'm going to go back to CSS. Now, the second thing that I want to do is to actually have an introduction section. For example, just to say the name of my city and I don't know, something like something about it. And then I'm going to create also a navbar. So this is pretty much what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create one other section. And like I said, HTML reads things from top to bottom. So I'm just going to create another section here at the top because I want to be this introduction section. So I'm going to create another one, div / div. And I'm going to give this a class of intro. This is going to be my introduction section. There's another thing that I would like you to pay attention. Can you see that when I hit enter between the opening and the closing tag, you can see that my cursor, it's not super at the left. There's actually some space on it. Sorry, I had to rescue the other cat. This space here that we can see, you can see there's actually two spaces. This is what we call indentation. The indentation means nothing for the computer. This is just for human readability. And we actually write code for the computer to compile, but for humans to read. And the human can be you in 6 months' time going back to an old project, huh? And sometimes if it's very confused, you're just like, what was I doing here? So we need to understand. And the indentation really helps because you can see, for example, that this IMG, the H1, the H2, and the paragraph belongs, it's inside this container here. So indentation really helps readability. It's so much that even CodePen, it's already doing this for us. Here, I'm just gonna add the H1. So H1, angle brackets, / H1. I'm going to add the name of my city. Welcome to Belo Horizonte. My Brazilian friends, you might know it. Or even if you're not Brazilian, you might have been there. If you know Brazil a bit, You probably know a bit about São Paulo and Rio. None of those, but it's kind of close. But we don't have the beats. But we do have, I'm gonna add H2/H2. We have the best pão de queijo. You see, people had studied in my city, actually. Yes, we are good people. Thank you. Thanks, Mariana. Thanks, Aline. So pão de queijo, it's actually a treat. We are very known by our food. So this is one of the things, one of the specialty things for my place. Yes, it's cheese buns, yes. Okay, so here I have this H1, and this section, I want to add like a background image to it. I want to style it properly, but I will do this tomorrow because I'm going to do everything on this section tomorrow with CSS. But I need this content to be here. So I'm just going to add this section for the purpose of having it here. The second thing that I want to do is, well, not the second, the third section that I want to create, it's a navigation bar. The navigation bar, it's a combination of links that helps you navigate through the page. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create another one, another section to add those links. And I know that right now it doesn't look very nice. Pages built only with HTML can give you like a late 90s, early 90s website vibes, but it will get better. Please trust the process. We will style it tomorrow. Now, before styling, we actually need to have the content there. So this is what we are building today. The navigation bar, I'm going to add at the top of the page with those links to help us to navigate. There's one container specific for navigation bars. So it's called nav, like this. So nav, angle brackets nav, and actually, I'm not going to style it now, so I'm just going to leave it without the class. And like I said, the navigation bar, it's a combination of links. So whenever you want to add the link in HTML, there's a specific tag for this, that is the A tag, or it's from Anchor. I can go, let me close, angle brackets A, angle brackets /A. This is not chemistry, not chemistry. But if you find the A tag here, should be where? That's not cool. In chemistry, there's a better, okay, let me base metadata section in text content, media. And this should, no, what is, should be here. The one I want is not here. How come? Or maybe I'm just not finding. Anyway, doesn't matter. I can show you. The A tag, it's basically, okay, let me add a link. So here, wait. Here in the middle, so we have our opening and our closing tag. And here we're gonna add the contact, the actual content. So let's say this is gonna be about BH. BH is the short version of Belo Horizonte, the name of my city. So let's say that this should be a link, and then it should take you to some place that tells you about my city. Now, whenever you have this, you're basically asking HTML, hey, HTML, please add a link here. And HTML is going to say, yeah, sure, I can do this. Where do you want me to take the user when the user clicks it here? So whenever, the same way that you need to pass a source when you want to add the image, you need to pass a reference when you have a link. And this reference is also passed by an attribute. So every time that you have an A, you're going to have an href, which is the hyperlink reference. Is the link reference that you want to share. And the moment you actually add this, what is nav and BH? Nav is the name of the container. Nav, the same way we have div, nav, it's the name of the container specifically used for navigation bar. BH, it's the name of, is the short name of the short version of my city. Because the name of my city is Belo Horizonte, so it's just the initial one of each one of the words. Okay, so here in this reference, I could just get, for example, let me get something. Maybe all you need to know about Belo Horizonte. Okay, so plan your trip, things that you can do. There you go. I'm gonna get this link here, and then I'm gonna add here, and then whenever you click, you should be redirected to that place. Now, there's another problem. I think it's not gonna work. It's gonna crash my, it actually does. So you click, you can see it here. Now, the problem with this is that because of the CodePen, it's actually creating a specific environment for us. Some of the links is not going to work, and it's not going to allow you to run the page here. For example, I think Google would not allow you to add the link here. So I'm going to make in a way that whenever you click this link, instead of opening in the same page, it opens in another tab. You know that sometimes you click the link and you can see it in the same page. Sometimes you click the link and opens a new tab. This is what I'm going to do, because some of the links that you might add here will not work because it won't be able to add to show up in this specific environment control that CodePen is providing us. So what I'm going to do is there's another attribute that we can add for the A tag whenever, so you add the link. And we can also add a target, and you can give a specific value. So remember, the attribute is like the name of the attribute. So the name of this attribute is target, and then equal sign, and then the quotes. If you pass the value of underscore blank, this is the same thing as saying, whenever the user click this link, open in a different tag, in a different tab, sorry. So now if I do this, it will open a new tab on my browser, which is better. So this, I mean, a navigation bar should be a combination of multiple links. So I'm just gonna create another link. So angle brackets A, angle brackets /A. And let's say that this is going to be about me. And we need to have a href here. And I mean, I need a couple of more links, so I'm just going to use a very important skill from any developer, that it's copy and paste. So you copy and paste, and then you change the things that you need. So maybe the third link, it's like my projects, or no, maybe like restaurants. And the last one, it's like contact, something like this. So you can get in touch with me, you can see my favorite restaurants, you can, I don't know, actually it doesn't make much sense, the order, but it's fine. My point is just like, let's add some of those links here. And there you go, you have all this. Now about BH, you can click and then do something. Now the other links are not doing anything. You can just see this refreshing because, like I said, this image is refreshing because of the page where I got it from. Every time you refresh the page, it gives you a new one. How do we do it so they are below each other, not next to each other? This is CSS. I mean, there is one option that you can wrap each one of them in a container. So if you wrap them in a div, the div will take the entire block. This would add them in a different line. For example, if I just add a div here, it would break the line for this, and it would add in a different line. But the best way of doing this is with CSS. That's the Python in me speaking. Yes, there are some programming languages that are like we are used to get the things in a way. I also do this all the time, so no worries. Now, another cool thing that we can do is that actually let me show you like I'm gonna do something really quick. I want to show you something nice, but for this I need to push the About Me section a bit lower. So I'm gonna give this intro class here just to show you something. Intro, I'm gonna give it a height. Just to show you something about the navbar, okay? Don't worry about this. I'm gonna delete in a second, but just so you can see it. I just push my About Me section very lower in my page. Imagine that I have a lot of information going on my site, on my page, and so on and so forth. So there's another thing that I would like to show you. One thing that we can do is just add an external link in our navigation bar. The other thing that we can do in a navbar, it's actually add a link to our own section. For example, go to this specific section in my page. So just scroll to this specific page, this specific section. Now, whenever you do this, the best way to avoid any confusions is making sure that you only have one element with that reference. Remember that earlier we were talking about classes and IDs, and then the class, I might have more than one to target. For example, if I have the class fruits, and I say, please give me the element with the class fruits, it might give me two. So for this thing specifically, when you click a button, I want you to be taken to a specific section. I want to know that there's nothing, no possibility for you to get to a different place other than the one that we're playing. So I'm going to come here in the class about, and I'm this container of the About Me section, and I'm also going to add an ID. Some of you also ask me, can I have a class and an ID in the same tag? Yes, you can. So I'm going to add the ID called About-Me. Naming conventions for whenever we are adding any attributes. Don't use special characters. Never use space. Every time you need to separate two words, you just use a dash. Don't start with numbers. Don't use like stars, no special characters. So keep it all small letters, and every time you need to separate a word, for the convention, we use this dash. Some people can do like camel case, something like this. It's also okay, but the convention, it's doing like that. Everything lowercase, no special characters, and you separate the words with a dash. So now I do have this container with the unique identifier About Me. So I can actually say that whenever you click the About Me link, the user should be redirected to the section with the element with the ID About Me. And then instead of passing an external reference, I can say that this is, because it is an ID, I need to pass a hash. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this tomorrow. But know that if it's an ID, we're going to use a hash. So it's a hash About Me. That basically means whenever the user click in this link here, take the user to the element that has an ID About Me. So now if I click this button here, I am redirected to this part of my page directly, which is pretty cool. So whenever we actually create the restaurant sections or the contact sections, like you could do the same. So these are the two ways, like we can have an external link, and then you can scroll back here to the top. You can have an external link. You can have like your own ID section that you want to add, and it would work just the same. Two H1s minus. Well, there's one question saying two H1s. Is there now another order? I'm not sure I get the question, sorry. Do you mind, can you rephrase it, maybe? Sorry. Is there now another order? Sure you don't get. Well, in the meantime, while you refer, okay, you said the H1 is big and at first and now. If it gives 2, which one is the big? Okay. They're the same size. So I have this H1 here, and I have this H1 here. They have the same size. The letter, they have exactly the same pixel size, let's say. So you can see that if it's H2, it's smaller. If it's like if I add the H3 here, H3, it will be smaller. But if I add another H1, it will be another H1. The size of the letter is the same because it's the same tag. You can change this with CSS, but if you just use the tag, it will be the same. Another question: to change the size of the image used, is possible to do with HTML? We're gonna use it with, we're gonna do it with CSS. In HTML, it's possible to add some styling in line, directly manipulate the things in line. You can just go there and add the style practice, the style tag, and then you add those things. But it's CSS. We're gonna do it with CSS. It's basically adding CSS behind the scenes. Can we do different fonts? Yes, you can. I'm gonna talk about this is also CSS. So we're gonna change. I'm gonna show you how to change things tomorrow. I'm not specifically going to talk about the fonts, but you can ask me and I can tell you the attribute. But there is one attribute called font family that allows you to choose what is the font that you want to use. Okay, so the order of HTML from up to bottom, that's why it knows which is the first of the two same size, right? Yes. So regardless of being the same tag, like H1 and H1, the line that comes first on my document will be printed first on my screen. Related to this, there's no hierarchy higher than this. The line that comes first is printed first on your screen. There's no other way to move this around unless you do it with CSS. Actually, with CSS, it's possible to move the positioning of things, but it's just like the style. The moment you remove the style, the HTML rule will always be like this. The line that it's before, it's printed before. Can you get the video later, please? Yes, I will share. I'm streaming this on YouTube, so I'm gonna share you're gonna receive the video link in your email tomorrow. And also, once you join the Slack tomorrow, I will post the video there as well. Let me save this here. 3 days coding challenge. Day 1. What day is today? Today is the 17th of September of 24. I'm gonna save this so I can actually share with you. More questions? Would you give us the script also because of remembering fact? Yeah, I need the video. The script of the video, the transcript, do you mean? I don't have it really, but I think from YouTube you can get, because I'm gonna share a YouTube link with you. Or do you mean the script from HTML? This is too confused. I always confuse the coding names, like programming languages and the actual language. No, the script of the tags that you already programmed. Yes. Okay, so this is what I thought first. The script of what I actually code. Yes. I just shared. It's on the Slack. Sorry, it's on the channel. This is my CodePen, so you can open, you have access, the code, it's open to everyone. So you can use it as a reference. Now, I do have a task for you. So for tomorrow, we're gonna learn about CSS. Keep coming the questions, huh? We're gonna learn about CSS and we're gonna add on top of this. So please have this prepared for tomorrow so we can add the CSS on top of that, what we built today. Apart from it, if you're feeling adventurous, I have a homework. Kirsty, you have you raised your hand, so I can't really hear you, but you can post the questions on the Q&A or in the chat. So this was HTML or CSS, what we did now. We just did HTML. I added some CSS just to show you something, forget about this. This is just HTML. And no, don't worry. I always do this, by the way. Yeah, I always unmute myself in the meetings, and also sometimes my cats unmute or press things on the chat for me. It's like, oh my God. Can we share our work with you? Yes, please. Actually, from tomorrow, the moment that you actually join Slack, you can share your work, and now we'll take a look at everything. I'm happy to give you any feedbacks. I will vote at the end as well. And if you have any specific questions, you can tag me on Slack and I will take a look. I know that you don't have it yet, but from tomorrow morning, you will receive the link. So don't worry. Hello, my name is Swati. I completed my engineering degree in computer science. Okay, so you don't have any experience. Nowadays, you're doing hands-on Python and machine learning. Well, I am actually a software engineer, so machine learning is not actually my field of expertise, but I would say that you're doing some good progress. You can, I mean, if your project is chosen, you should talk to Anne-Marie. I just lost my computer. Where is it? Wait. Give me a second. Okay, my computer is back. Swati Gupta, I would say that you can reach out to Anne-Marie. I can share her LinkedIn. You can ask her for some career advice. She's actually the best person to do it. What's the homework again? Sorry, yes, the homework. Swati, I will give you some more instructions in a second. Let me finish this. So how do you save? Just click the save button. Make sure that you are logged in. The homework, I'm going to share another link with you. W3 School HTML. Here, I'm going to share this with you. Here you can see a lot of things, huh? You can see about the headings that I've mentioned, the paragraphs, images, a bunch of things. Now, there is one thing that I would like you to do for homework, which is a list. So I'm specifically going to share the list with you here. And if you're feeling adventurous, there are two options. You can have an unordered list like this, just the bullet points, or you can have an ordered list like this. And if you're feeling adventurous, you could complete the restaurants part, adding your favorite restaurants or your favorite food from your city in a list after this or after the introduction section, whatever you want to add. So this is your homework for tomorrow. I would love to see this. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a personal interest behind of this because I'm gonna read, and when I'm traveling, I'm just like, where I'm gonna eat. So getting tips from the locals is the best. And yes, you should create a separate div for the restaurants. This is like a different section. We can even have a different link for it. So my suggestion is whenever you have a new section, create a div for it. So create a div for the restaurants, and you can, if you want, you can give it like a heading for like my favorite restaurants, and then your list. This is the homework. This is the extra homework. what I really needed to do for tomorrow, it's making sure that you have this prepared for tomorrow so we can add the CSS on top of it. I have no problems. You can use mine as a reference, but one of the cool things about coding is that you can copy things from the other and then tweak a bit to make more like you. And then tomorrow we're also going to continue seeing this on CSS. Do we create a separate diff restaurant? Yes, I answered this. Does it have to be about me and the place? No, you can do whatever you want. You can do about something completely different. It's entirely up to you. Go crazy, do about something that interests you. For example, I actually should do something related to, I don't know, cats or coffee or the space. I could do any of those three topics. They really interest me. So one of the easiest way to code is code about something you like. And I'm actually super homesick right now. So actually talk about my city is actually quite nice, but just pick something that you like. It usually gives you like more pleasure in coding. So pick whatever. What else? Keep the questions coming. Okay, so I guess no more questions. You have access to my code. Is this one here? I already shared it with you. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a really, really pleasure being with you this time. We're gonna continue our conversation tomorrow over Slack and also tomorrow at the same time. So we have 2 more days. And I hope that you had fun and we can continue doing this. You can have fun the next 2 days. Obrigada. Oh, that's really sweet. It wasn't a Brazilian person. That was really nice. I hope you learned a lot. You managed to code. If it was the first one, your first website, well done, you have your first page. If not, well done, you have a second or third page. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, you're such a nice group. It's a pleasure. I'm really happy that we're gonna get to spend 3 days together. Thank you very much. Swati Gupta, to continue our conversation, if you want, you can stay a bit longer. I can go party. I can tell you a bit more, but like I said, it's not my field of expertise. Once you're on Slack, you can ping me, you can message me, and I can share the link from the connection to Anne-Marie. She would gladly give you more advice, or you can schedule a meeting with her. She's an expert. It's actually her job. She has a company about career changes and career paths. She's a career coach. So I can share her LinkedIn if you give me a second. Let me find her. Marie, is that this one? So I'm gonna share her code, her page. There you go. She's a star, like helping techies level up their careers by developing any key skills. So she's the person to go to, and you can reach out to her. Oh, cool. I will accept. Oh, I can also share my LinkedIn with you. Where is it? This is me. So feel free to send me a connection. And thank you so much. I love when you have fun building your page. That's the best for me, honestly. Is the best thing for me when you actually have fun coding. I'm glad to see, and I'm really, really looking forward to see what you have to say about your city or about whatever you want to code. So we continue talking tomorrow, and that's it. I'll see you. Good work with the code. Até amanhã. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening or morning, depending on where you are. Let me stop sharing.